Hey Blenders, it's Sean here to introduce a bonus episode of ReelBlend for this week where we have Steve-O on the show to talk about the new Jackass film, Jackass Forever. It's a great interview and I'm really glad we got a chance to sit down with him. As you'll be able to see if you watch it on the YouTube channel, he is coming to us from his tour bus because Steve-O is taking his act on the road. He's been doing that for a long time in between Jackass projects. And so we get into sort of his history with really outrageous stunts, the way that he works those into his comedy routine, and some of his hesitations about coming back to Jackass, and a lot of stuff about the legacy of Jackass. It's a really, really great conversation. If you're going to talk Jackass with just about anybody, Steve-O is absolutely one of the founding fathers that you want to get on to talk about not just the sequel, but the franchise as a whole. We do want to put a little bit of a content warning on this interview because, a lot of times we'll put the explicit tag for when the hosts let curses fly. But this one in particular, it's Steve-O, it's Jackass. We get into some explicit conversation about some of the things that he does, not just in his act, but that they've done on Jackass over the years. So if for any reason you don't necessarily want to listen to stories of that type, just be warned, know going into it that this one has that kind of stuff in it, and we have plenty of other content on the ReelBlend channel for you to listen to. However, if you are a huge fan of Jackass and if you admire all the stuff that Steve-O has done over the years, this is the conversation for you. So I'm throwing it right to our bonus episode with Steve-O on behalf of Jackass Forever.
Well, Steve-O, I'll get us started. This is the ReelBlend podcast.
Are you Jake?
I'm Kevin.
Kevin. Oh, sorry. It was Kevin who I said was so hot.
Well, that makes me so happy.
That's the end of this interview, Steve-O. We appreciate your time. We had a good run. That was great.
Hey, Jake, I don't remember seeing it before, man. I think that you're also a real, you're a real doozy for...
That's all I needed. That's all
the
I
name
needed.
of our podcast. It's two cover models and a bridge troll.
Yeah. Well, Steve-O, we want to say thank you for joining our show. We're a filmmaker focused podcast. We like to talk about everything in terms of filmmaking, but obviously we want to dive into the specifics of Jackass. But for our audience who's watching this on our YouTube channel and listening at home, can you tell us where you are right now? Are you on a tour bus? Like where are you at in the country?
Yeah, I am on a tour bus. And it is obnoxiously wrapped in Steve-O art. And there's just like cars like driving around and just people lingering and they've got their cell phones out. And being the attention whore that I am, I love that so much.
Well,
that's awesome.
Having you on the show is a big deal because Jackass films are, to my opinion, they're event movies to see in theaters. They're movies that deserve to be seen in theaters with a crowd. The communal experience is obviously very special because it makes it so much more special to watch it. For you growing up, what was your favorite theatrical experience that was communal, like a Jackass movie was for us? What was that experience for you as a kid?
No, it's tough for me to think of an example that really, really applies on the level that Jackass does. If I were to think about memorable movie-going experiences as a kid, like the earliest one I feel was Clash of the Titans. I remember really being heavily impacted by the Raiders of the Lost Ark, the first Indiana Jones movie. Ghostbusters was a pretty big scale event for me. Of course, Rocky 3. But yeah, none of those are really, really like as gasp inducing as maybe like there's some kind of horror movies where the whole crowd like sort of screams together. But Jackass is just a full-blown roller coaster, man. And then this new movie is just ridiculously good. I mean, I genuinely believe that, and I never once said that about the last one. The last one was so wildly commercially successful, but I just thought it paled compared to its predecessor, Jackass number 2. And that Jackass number 2 was the masterpiece. So I'm not necessarily saying Jackass Forever can compete with Jackass number 2, but in its own way, it is the best work that we've ever done. I mean, it's different and it is ridiculously good, man. I laughed.
So good.
Like I went to go see an early screening of it, and my shit just straight hurt from laughing, man. Like I was like, I mean, and it's crazy because, dude, I'm so happy with it.
Steve, do you see, because whenever they screened it for us here in Chicago, I think I was one of the few people that needed to see it for the junket. So I basically was in a theater by myself and was dying laughing. The first thing I thought when I got out was, I got to pay to go see that opening weekend because I want that X factor of seeing it with a massive crowd. Do you guys try to, we always hear stories of filmmakers sitting in the back of the row and like watching. Do you guys go to the theaters on opening weekend and maybe without people watching and just kind of see what people are responding to?
I mean, it's way before that, you know, like the whole approach for the filmmakers of Jackass is to get eyeballs on the early cuts. There's just like exhaustive test screenings.
Oh, wow.
And, you know, like, yeah, they're out there like trying the different, you know, trying out the different cuts. And there was actually a really heated debate / conflict between Jeff Tremaine and Spike Jonze. Jeff Tremaine, of course, being the director, and Spike Jonze, of course, being the Oscar-winning, you know, filmmaker. And the debate was whether, and I was solidly on Jeff Tremaine's side about this, and this relates to the opening sequence where, like, yeah, and you know, I think everyone's kind of playing their cards pretty close to their vest, but would like suffice it to say that the opening sequence is like a parody of a monster movie where the monster is you know, they don't want to use the word Godzilla, but like basically a Godzilla monster. And you come to realize as this monster is destroying a city and an entire city and just destroying everything. And then you come to realize that the monster itself is Chris Pontius's penis painted green and like with like the utmost top echelon of puppeteers, like responsible for like take your Oscar-winning puppeteer shit. We got the best puppeteers in the world. We got the best special effects in the world. We got the best miniature fucking. We got Spike Jonze at the helm. They spent over $3 million with fucking cranes throwing cars that were on fire and exploding through the Paramount lot. Like, no expense was spared whatsoever. But I mean, it is the most notable, the most utterly fucking ridiculous opening sequence. I mean, you like it makes all of our other opening sequences seem so forgettable. You know, it's just unbelievable. And the debate between Tremaine and Spike Jonze was that Spike felt very strongly that we needed to pull back the curtain and show Pontius, you know, from head to toe and reveal the scene and what's going on. Yeah. And I felt, as did Jeff Tremaine, that we had invested so much in building this energy. You know, we've gotten people like we're establishing this, like, you're in it, and then to all of a sudden come out of it to reveal Pontius standing there and show what's going on. It's just like we built this whole energy, we established this whole thing, and then you just lose it all. You know, you lose it all, and it's like, you know, Tremaine and I thought, keep people in it. You know, don't break it. But what they did, and you know, the point being that they put it in front of test audiences. They tested the A version versus the B version, and absolutely beyond a shadow of a doubt, demonstrably proven, Spike was right. Spike was right, and that's not. There's zero subjectivity in it when they test it in front of so many audiences like that. It is absolutely proven that was the way to go.
And it still takes a while to see him, though. It still takes a little bit till we see Pontius, though. Yeah, you're in there. They got it right. They got it right. And I think that when it comes to Spike,
Jeff Tremaine, Johnny Knoxville, like, any and all of them on their own can absolutely get shit wrong. None of them as individuals are bulletproof in, getting everything right. But the consensus of Johnny Knoxville and Jeff Tremaine and Spike Jonze, once all of them have arrived at a consensus decision among them, in that case, the three of them put together are fucking bulletproof. And I don't even bother. Like once all three of them have put their heads together and arrived at a conclusion, like I just know it's right because they've never been wrong.
Wow.
Steve, I got to ask this, and I think I know the answer listening to how passionately you talk about, the creative decisions that go into it. But there is a moment early on when they ask you what it's like being back on set, and you're like, it's crazy to see what we looked like 20 years ago, and I know what I did 20 years ago and what I can do now. Like, is there any hesitancy at all when they call you and say, we're getting the band back together? Just be like, yeah, guys, no, not this time.
I mean, for me, I had been so active, like doing all my own stuff, even if it was for YouTube or if it was for like my multimedia comedy tour. Like I've been kind of continuously staying active, doing crazy stunts, like without ever stopping. So for me personally, I knew I still had it in me because I've, never stopped doing it. And with that said, I had some serious apprehension because as an ensemble group, I think that it's a little bit of a different story because we're all like so old, like late 40s, and in some of our cases, actually in our 50s. So like, I mean, it's like, all right, is it still fun and funny to watch us do this stuff, or have we reached a point where it's actually creepy? And I didn't know what the answer to that question was, and so I was a little bit like apprehensive about that, and much more so, I felt protective of the legacy that we built. Like we got away with so much. We got away with such ridiculous risks. We rolled the dice. We just managed to get away with it, and in the process, we built up this beautiful legacy. And I thought that for us to make another one over a decade later, like all it would take is just one fucking thing, one accident, like one injury, just one terrible thing to happen, and the entire totality of the legacy would be out the window, and we would just be a shit stain on history. Those assholes got what they deserve.
Well, the culture's different too. The audience is different. The culture's different. So,
yeah. And I mean, if you're referring to cancel culture and all of that, I think that it's really a point of pride that Jackass has always been in such a good spirit. There's never been anything hateful or mean spirit about anything that we do. As hard of a time as we give each other and ourselves, like we're attention whores and we love it. We'll gladly take all of the beatings that we take for the attention that we crave. And outside of that, like there's just nothing negative pointed towards anybody or anything. So I think that Jackass has aged particularly well. I think Jackass has aged particularly well, and I think that Jackass really can thrive in as politically correct of a culture of canceling people as it can get. I think Jackass is pretty safe for those reasons.
Steve-O, when I left this theater, and I feel like this has been a topic of conversation for a long time, that we don't really appreciate stunt actors as much when it comes to like talking about. No, I mean this genuinely, because like at the end of the day, there are people putting their lives in the lines to do action scenes in films, and you hear it, and then you go watch this film, and you do get an appreciation for seeing you and the other guys doing these actual stunts. And I just wonder, like, From a perspective from your, like, as you watch films, like, do you think about the actual importance of stunt actors and kind of the recognition of people doing that? I mean, I know Jackass is played for laughs, but it is still, you're still performing and you're still doing things that are very talented. Yeah, you know?
Sure. I mean, like, when you said that, I found myself kind of smiling and even laughing because, you know, I look back almost 30 years ago now, when I was dropping out of the University of Miami, and I had been kicked out of the dorms. I was failing my classes. I was just upping and leaving with like no fucking real plan. You know, and, I mean, outside of the only plan I had, which was to use a home video camera to film super crazy stunts to try to make myself become a famous crazy stuntman, you know, and I articulated this plan of mine to everybody who asked or anybody who would listen. I'm going to become a crazy famous stuntman with my home video camera, and that was 1993, and every single person who I explained this plan to felt genuinely sorry for me because there at that time there was no precedent whatsoever for what I was setting out to do. There was no such thing as reality television. There was the video camera was not a household item, you know, like outside of America's Funniest Home Videos, there just was no platform for home video footage of stunts. And particularly at that time, to say, like, it was an oxymoron to say famous stuntman, because stuntman by definition was an entirely anonymous occupation, because by definition you were a body double for an actor. And so, like, the idea of a famous stuntman was totally counterintuitive, made no fucking sense, and it was a losing battle that I was undertaking. You know, everybody thought I was a tragic loser, and I just believed in it because I had filmed enough crazy shit that I could see how people reacted. You know, I started out making skateboard videos that nobody gave a shit about. And then I started throwing myself off of buildings and dangling from railings over like 12 stories. And when people saw that, they really reacted. And I thought, okay, I'm onto something, you know? Right. So I believed in it. But yeah, to answer your original question, it is a shame that stuntmen get no credit, no accolades, you know, at least on any like mainstream level. You know, sure, they got stuntman awards and this and that, but it's a very thankless, anonymous job to be a stuntman in the conventional sense.
I know they're pushing right now for a stunt category at the Oscars, and I feel like Jackass has just missed it by a few. Could you imagine Academy Award winner Steve-O? Like, we just missed it by just a couple of years. I
mean, the Bad Grandpa Jackass movie won an Oscar, I think, or was it just
for makeup?
I can't remember. Yeah.
That's amazing. That's amazing.
It might have won for makeup or nominated.
That's
great.
It was either nominated or won, but I mean, I always said that if I won an Oscar, that during my acceptance speech, I would find a way to shove it up my butt while standing on the stage.
There we go.
I've never wanted anyone to win an Oscar more in my entire life.
Please do that. Yeah, and then get an X-ray like Ryan Dunn did in the first one. God, that was
wait a second, Steve-O. I've heard Meryl Streep say this exact same thing.
You know, the problem is getting past the head. Those shoulders are a tall order.
No pun intended.
Oh my God. So Steve, I think just because we feel like we have a relationship with you guys, that we really do, like, when you guys get hurt, like, it's just like, oh, it's like watching our friends get hurt. I'm curious, you've had your fair share of visits to the doctor over the years. What's the craziest thing a doctor's ever said to you? Just like, dude, like, what the hell are you doing, man? I'm curious, like, the strangest doctor visit you've ever had.
I mean, I don't know that a doctor's ever said anything notable in that regard. I know that there have been chiropractors that I went to see who were familiar with my body of work, and then they took X-rays of my spine, and they were confounded to not see my spine in worse shape than it was because they knew what I do. And I've had chiropractors tell me that they think I'm Keith Richards when when they look at my X-rays. But I mean, there was probably the most grievous pain. I mean, by far, actually, like the most painful predicament I found myself in was something I did for my second comedy special, which is funny. Like the closer of my stand-up comedy special found me in a burn unit getting skin grafts applied to 15% of my body for third degree burns. And yeah, burns are by far the most painful. Oof. And after having skin grafts surgically applied to 15% of my body, and to be clear, the skin grafts were cadaver flesh. I had the flesh of 7 different dead people grafted onto 15% of my body. And and after I woke up from this surgery, one of the nurses told me that it was 7 different dead people's skin, and that they were giving me the physical home addresses of the families of each of the 7 dead people, so that I could send thank you cards to thank the families. This is absolutely a thing, and I'd never heard of it before, and I was totally shocked by it. But going before the surgery, I was in the most unbelievable pain that I'd ever experienced in my life, and waking up from the surgery, that pain, like I was fixed. I was fixed. Like those whatever those grafts do. Like I woke up and the pain was gone, and I was so profoundly grateful for that. That when they told me about the thank you card option to mail a thank you card to the families of these people, my immediate reaction was, oh my God, I'm going to reach out to every single one of these families. I'm gonna like, maybe one of the families has like a big Steve-O fan. Like, I don't know. Maybe some of the families are have fallen on hard times, and I could help them out like one way or another, but I want to like give back. I really want to like, I felt passionate about doing that. And then speaking with my father, I explained this situation to him. And my dad said, what family do you think is going to be happy to learn that their loved one's skin was wasted on an asshole who set himself on fire on purpose? And I was like, oh yeah, when you put it that way, Dad. Because what I had done to get third degree burns on 15% of my body was to lay down in a bed of rocket engine fuel. We made a bed of rocket engine fuel, and I laid in it and did snow angels while my buddies lit it, and I called it fire angels. And no shit, I got fucking third degree burns on 15% of my body. Like, of course. I mean, dude, like, what the fuck was I thinking? And my dad was right too. So I never sent any of those letters.
Did the bit kill? I hope it worked.
Oh, dude! Oh my God! It was fucking epic. It was the most epic. And that's been my approach to my stand-up comedy. Like over the now 11, 12 years that I've been touring as a stand-up, like my comedy evolved into this multimedia experience. So that was the closer for my first comedy, or it's the closer for my second comedy special. And like the whole stand-up bit is just, I mean, it's so over the top, the story that I'm telling, that it just lends itself to stand-up comedy. And then to bolster it with the actual footage of the story that I'm telling is just, it's so impactful. It's so original that I've really stumbled on like an incredible like approach to live comedy. And now, you know, I'm speaking with you from my new tour bus, wrapped in my Steve-O's bucket list tour art, and every item on my bucket list is every bit as over the top as that, you know, for my new tour. And now when I do my live show on the road, you know, I've got this stand-up show, and after each bit in the show, I screen the footage that's respective to the bit. So I've got a bit where there's one where I've got a medical professional completely in disguise administering general anesthesia drugs through an IV while I'm riding a bicycle through a field, you know, like shit like that. And, you know, and the shit that I did for my bucket list tour, you know, all of these stunts, which comprise the multimedia component of the show, are just, none of them would I have been ever allowed to do for Jackass, because they're uninsurable. They're flagrantly illegal. They're like highly explicit, like on a level that's way beyond rated R.
Oh my gosh. All right. You sold a couple of tickets.
My publicist doesn't want me to call it rated XXX. But what else do you call a guy as he falls out of an airplane?
I don't know.
Oh, that's incredible. Oh my God.
I would like the MPAA to look at that
Yeah.
and decide.
That was something I said like 20 years ago, because I was afraid of skydiving is really what it was. You know, I have this irrational fear of roller coasters and bungee jumping and shit like that. I just don't like it. So I never wanted to go skydiving. And as such, like 20 years ago, I said, dude, everybody does skydiving, man. That's lame. I said, if I ever go skydiving, I'm going to be butt ass naked with a dude strapped to my back, and I'm going to be furiously. so I time it that when I'm actually falling out of the airplane, which is so absurd. And
it's an executive decision.
Like every item on my bucket list, it was an idea that I had come up with years ago that was so utterly over the top that I never actually envisioned it actually happening. And then I decided to do it all. And so that's the level of stunts for my bucket list tour. It's so funny too, looking out of this tour bus, how many vehicles are just circling around the bus. Like, it's really creepy.
Did you ever just pop out and wave at people?
Sure. Yeah. But I got my dog with me, so I gotta get out and walk the dog. And every time it's a full-blown meet and greet. It's pretty nuts.
All right, so I got to ask this because the three of us have been doing this movie journalism thing for a long time, and it's taken us some crazy places. And a lot of times we'll stop and look around and be like, I can't believe that we're here because of movies, right? Like, it's the stupidest thing that we're here to interview different people and we're in Paris or God, wherever. Where's the greatest place that Jackass took you, that you looked around and thought like, I can't believe I'm here because of Jackass?
I mean, Jackass, the first, well, I mean, shoot, in the TV show days, we did this gumball rally thing, and that consisted of like racing like super luxury cars with like 100 like obnoxiously wealthy multimillionaires from London, England to Moscow, Russia, in a gigantic circle and back through like 10 or 12 different countries. Wow. And that was a wild experience. I mean, that was and that was 2001. I mean, that was really early on. Then the first movie took us to Japan, and the filming in Japan for the first movie represented the only footage in the first movie where I was not like highly intoxicated with cocaine in my system. Like it's tough for me to like, it's like, I'm super not kidding.
Oh, Steve-O, I'll ask you this before we go.
And I'm not in a rush, guys. I'm like, until my publicist jumps on and says to stop. I'll continue to horrify him. But the second movie took us to India, and then the third movie didn't take us anywhere because that was for all the 3D cameras. But what really took me all over the world was Wild Boys, which was a Jackass spinoff that we filmed from 2003 to 2005. And that chapter of my life was so unbelievable with all the world travel. I mean, we went to every continent except Antarctica. Like, we went to, I mean, I got to film with genuinely wild gorillas in Rwanda, you know, like Thailand, Indonesia. It was crazy. I was on like this remote island in Borneo, Indonesia, filming with this indigenous tribe. And this guy who didn't speak English pointed at my arm. He said, "Ofu tutu." And I couldn't understand. I realized when he was pointing to my off-road tattoo. And I'm like, dude, I'm in like a remote island in Borneo, and this guy knows about Jackass. It's like that was crazy. That was really crazy, man. So
cool.
It's insane. And during that Wild Boys era, during that chapter of my life, like we all filled up our passport with stamps, and then they put in like additional pages, and then we filled all them up, and then we got more. Like, we all had these passports that were just like these fucking sandwiches. It was like really, really a special time, man, you know. And to have had so many different chapters and eras in my life, like I mean, it's insane, man. It's
That's
insane.
awesome. Very awesome.
Yeah, Steve, I'll get you out on this one because I'm actually fascinated by this. You used a word called insurance when you were talking earlier about what you're able to do on your tour, and you could do uninsured bits. Right. So in terms of the movie, how does the movie work in terms of insurance? So, for example, like if Aaron's in that room about to get, you know, killed by a bear, or you're doing some stunt that could injure you, how does the insurance actually work in terms of filmmaking? Like, are all those stunts insured?
It's a really interesting question, and I know that maybe this is an industry term but I wasn't familiar with it until this press junket for the new movie. But our first Jackass movie is what's referred to as a negative pickup, which what that means is that Paramount Pictures was not officially affiliated with the first movie. Like, it was structured such that they were not tied to it. Like, they somehow shuttled the money to like a ghost company or something like that. And like, so that like if anybody died on that first movie, Paramount wasn't tied to it. It wasn't their issue. It's called a negative pickup, where after the movie was completed and nobody died and everything was okay, then Paramount found out about it and bought it and bought it after the fact. And that, I think there's something tremendously just fascinating and historical about that. And I know that for that first movie, it's not to say that we did anything without insurance. It's just that everything on that first movie was like each bit was insured separately. And I think that's just because it was sort of a renegade, like guerrilla warfare kind of operation in getting it done. So they insured the bits, bit by bit. And of course, that first movie was made with a budget of $6 million, just $6 million, and then it brought in over $80 million. So the profit margin was there. I think that they saw fit to properly insure all of the subsequent movies. And, as Knoxville says, Paramount Pictures has been so wonderful to work with as a partner that it is in no way disparaging that they describe the negative pickup. That was just 20 years ago and how that happened. And it was really careful not to say anything disparaging about Paramount because they have been so wonderful. But all of the subsequent movies after the first one, 2, 3, and now 4, were properly insured as a whole big picture, and with Paramount very much responsible for it. And, Knoxville just describes that in order to insure those films, they had to pay through the nose. It was a lot.
I don't know how they ensured that bee scene. Well, Steve-O, we appreciate you joining us, man. This has been such a pleasure talking to you. We are big fans of this franchise. We always have been. I want to thank Greg Longstreet, obviously, for giving us the opportunity to have you on the show. And thank you so much for talking about your tour and everything. I saw you back in 2002 with Steve-O and friends. I told you, this was the tour.
That's right. You held up the tickets.
Yeah, Ryan signed it. You swallowed the light bulb on that tour, which I was right up front watching you do that. I don't know how the hell you did that, but it was incredible. So
where are you guys located?
I'm in DC.
I'm in Chicago,
and I'm in Charlotte, North Carolina.
Man, I was just in DC, and DC I was in on December 4th, and Chicago I was in less than 2 weeks ago with that tour.
Damn. You gotta text us next time.
Message us. You guys blew it. I don't know, Charlotte. I mean, whatever. I don't know. But dudes, thank you for your time, man. I'm such an attention whore, and I'm always grateful for people to give me the time and attention that I crave. So it's you guys. It's you guys who I'm grateful for.
No, it's an honor to have you. We appreciate it, Steve-O.
That's awesome.
Thanks, brother.
Thank you,
I'd
buddy.
say stay safe, but
sure.
I know you won't. Yeah.
Right on, guys.
Thank you very much to Paramount Pictures and, of course, to Steve-O and his reps for getting him on the show. I loved his conversation about the impact of stunt people in the film industry over the years. And I really loved the fact that he had it in him from those earliest days with a handheld camera of going out into his backyard, performing crazy stunts like this and knowing that he wanted somehow his destiny was to sort of go down that road and put those stunts onto film. And I think it really shines a great light onto the work done by stunt people in the industry, something that we have been sort of beating the drum for a long time, recognition of the work that goes into that field, and especially as we see them reach new heights in a lot of the franchises that we have come to love. So check out Jackass Forever. It is going to be in theaters on the big screen. You're going to see some lunacy coming your way from the guys at Jackass. Exactly what they deliver to us on a regular basis. And we love that Steve-O was able to jump on for a conversation. Look for a full episode of ReelBlend hitting all your streams on Friday, where we're going to have a very exciting guest tied to another massive blockbuster. So make sure you're subscribing to us on our YouTube channel, subscribing to us all the places where you get your podcast needs met. And we'll see you back here with a full show very, very soon.